Welcome. Today is a very special day. Ooh, 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 ooh. Today, all I want to do, talk about ape. It's no secret to any of you that I'm a big fan of primates, monkeys, apes, of all shapes, sizes, descriptions, personalities, doesn't matter. Today, I thought it would be funny, thank you Ren for the idea, to rank as many monkeys and or apes as possible. To celebrate the achievements that the greatest apes among us have achieved, and also to rightfully confirm to each other the apes which we ultimately could do without. Because there are quite a few of them. Let's be honest, I love monkeys and apes, but there are one or two who are just kind of not nice. Just not great, you know? Thank you very much for the supers, everybody. Thank you, Kamaki, GB Prince, and Kairos. Thank you so much. Okay. Let's get started with a few rules. Okay. First of all, this is only counting real monkeys and apes. Only counting biological gorillas, monkeys, apes of any kind, chimpanzees, mandrills, whatever it is. Which means, unfortunately, Monkey D. Luffy goes here because, unless I am sorely mistaken, he is not actually a monkey. That is his name, but, and I'm sure he solos, One Piece fans, I'm sure he's fantastic, I'm sure he's very powerful, but he's not actually a monkey. That is his name. But now that that's out of the way, let's go, not in alphabetical order, I'm just going to start picking from them at random. Going for the ones that inspire me, the ones that have made an impact on my life, the monkeys that have changed who I am, the monkeys that have made me the man I am today, first of all, and most importantly. Oh yes, fictional apes are fine. Obviously, plenty of fictional apes in here. Fictional apes are fine, but you've got to actually be a monkey. That Monkey D. Luffy is not a monkey by any stretch of the imagination. That's just his name. So, first of all, an ape who needs no introduction. One of the apes of all time. One of the apes that has made the biggest impact, I think, culturally, at least in the modern age, is Harambe. Harambe, I think, if you've ever seen Deadpool and Wolverine, and you know about the concept of an anchor being, where after their death, the universe begins to unravel, I think that Harambe was our universe's anchor being. I think that Harambe, unfortunately, with his power and his kindness and his gentleness, after his death, nothing has ever really felt the same. Harambe tragically died on the 28th of May, 2016, after A child unfortunately fell into his gorilla enclosure and he dragged him around a little bit. And it was scary to imagine being that child. I'm sure that child is immensely traumatized. But what we also saw in that monkey was a gentleness. He didn't immediately clobber the child to death. He stood over him and looked up at the screaming onlookers. Perhaps we might even say that he was trying to protect him. And of course, after this, Harambe became notorious, perhaps in a way at the time that had not been seen, and has not been seen since. Memes nowadays die in weeks, even days. Harambe was an item of pop culture for months. Harambe was an item of pop culture for so long. Celebrities weighed in. Danny Trejo with "Dicks out for Harambe" is a phrase that will remain in our minds forever. Harambe is so popular and was so successfully martyred after his death, he is practically synonymous with gorillas. There are many examples of popular streaming talent or celebrities, whoever, when bringing up the idea of a gorilla, Harambe is the first one that comes to mind. Calling any ape, any gorilla Harambe, feels palatable to the human tongue. And for that reason, Harambe is in the GOAT tier. I think that this is pretty reasonable. Blonde Twink fan, thank you so much for the super. Hope you've been enjoying the UQ Wilson streams. Yuri, thank you very much for the super. Okay. Next of all, let's move on a little bit. Let's go for something a little bit different. A classic monkey. King Kong. Where do we put King Kong? King Kong is one of the oldest examples of a pop culture gorilla. Sadly not real. Sadly there is no gorilla that large, although I wish there was. King Kong is the star of his own films. He is the star of... he is one of the two counterparts of the Monsterverse, and if anything, he is, at this point, the main character of the Monsterverse, after Godzilla x Kong featured mostly Kong and not an awful lot of Godzilla. King Kong began, obviously, in the 30s, when King Kong first came out, and the imagery of him climbing up the Empire State Building with woman in hand is very iconic cultural imagery that has stuck with us and has been parodied to the ends of the earth and back. It would make sense to put him alongside Harambe considering his impact, but I think that King Kong's impact is a result of technological marvel and of permanent cultural relevancy. Something that becomes that popular that long ago will in some ways remain popular through the lens of nostalgia forever. Whereas the grip Harambe had on the universe was very profound and very human in a lot of ways. I think Harambe touched our inner sense of empathy, and I think that that's important. But King Kong as well. I think I have to put King Kong in GOAT tier as well. Considering how King Kong arguably, at least in Western culture, I think King Kong in Western culture is the most well-known gorilla. I would imagine so anyway, or at least historically. So I think GOAT tier for King Kong makes sense. I also get the feeling a lot of monkeys are going to be in the upper tiers due to my own personal biases, but I'm sure that you'll all understand that. King Kong cannot be understated. Alright. Let's move on to something interesting. Now we've had a real gorilla, a fictional gorilla, and someone who is not a primate, who is a primate in the sense that human beings are primates. But now, I'm going to move away. We've had two gorillas. It's time for a chimpanzee. Bubbles. Now, I only learned today through my research that Bubbles is also the name of a chimpanzee or a gorilla in Dragon Ball. This is not what I'm talking about. I am talking about the pet of Michael Jackson. Let me tell you guys about Bubbles, if you didn't already know. Bubbles fascinates me. Michael Jackson had a pet chimpanzee called Bubbles. And somehow, Bubbles was Michael Jackson's pet without issue. For I think some 20 years, Michael Jackson brought Bubbles to recording sessions, and he would record a take for one of his songs, and he would ask, "How was that, Bubbles? You like that, Bubbles?" And if Bubbles liked the take, they would keep it. He would even do one take for a line in a song, and if Bubbles liked it, they would keep it. Michael Jackson was due to meet, while he was on tour in Japan, he was due to meet the mayor of Kyoto and brought Bubbles with him as a surprise, which the mayor of Kyoto, if my memory serves, described as being surprising, but quite interesting. The fact that we know chimpanzees especially as being particularly aggressive genome of apes, and yet Bubbles lived in harmony with Michael Jackson for so long, without issue. What happened? Well, in the end, Michael Jackson was having children, and he was worried that Bubbles would, attack his children, which is a fair reason to worry. But Bubbles is alive and well today. Bubbles is alive and well in a research facility, and according to his keepers, is a huge fan of painting. How sweet. I love Bubbles. There's also, I believe, a story about Michael Jackson sharing a hotel suite with Bubbles, which is insane. The idea of spending a night asleep soundly in a hotel when a chimpanzee could walk into your room at any time is horrifying. But Bubbles must have just been such a peaceful, fun-loving chimpanzee that everything was fine. For me, Bubbles is a life-changing ape, because when I found out about this story, I felt changed. I felt changed. Bubbles is still very much alive at the age of, I believe, around 46, 47. This music's going to get really repetitive, isn't it? This music's going to get really repetitive. Alright, here's more RuneScape monkey music. That's good. Okay. Next up. Ah, yes. Now, many of these apes I'm aware of, but not all of them do I have expert knowledge on. Gorilla Grodd from DC Comics. Gorilla Grodd. What do we say about Gorilla Grodd? I don't know much about his feats. If we were ranking based on power, I wouldn't know where to put him. But the thing about Gorilla Grodd, I have seen one clip of Gorilla Grodd. The scene where seemingly he breaks into the college dorm of a young man, and he stands upright, and the man screams, and he drops away from his computer. If that is what I can't even remember. But Gorilla Grodd stands up and he says, "Barack Obama, it would almost be an honor to kill you." And for that alone, I think Gorilla Grodd has to at least go in significant tier. Oil, thank you very much for the super. That's fantastic. I'm so glad that there is a street named after a monkey near where you live. That's brilliant. Gorilla Grodd, I don't know much else about him. He fights the Flash. This bumps him up to life-changing, because I think the Flash is kind of an asshole. Especially after that recent movie, the Flash gives me the ick. So if the idea of the Flash being beaten to death by a gorilla is pretty cool. So we're going to put him in life-changing for that. Boots from Dora the Explorer. Boots, the talking monkey. Fuck this monkey. I don't like him. Creeps me out. First of all, why is he wearing boots? Fuck this monkey. Boots goes against so much of what a monkey should be doing. Have you ever seen a monkey's feet? Monkeys' feet have thumbs. Monkeys' feet are a valuable tool for swinging from tree to tree. This monkey is a narcissist. Boots. Why wear boots? To prove he doesn't need them? He has ascended so strongly from his life in the jungle to living among human society that he wears shoes. He is rejecting his natural biological gifts as a monkey. He has betrayed his species in order to live among the human beings, and I find this repulsive. He has so much to enjoy. Bananas to eat, nuts to eat, insects to swat at, other monkeys to rip to shreds. And yet that is not enough for this greedy monkey. He must wear boots, and for this reason, boots should probably be in hell. My list. My list. My word is law. My word is God. You have to understand. King Louie from the Jungle Book. Fantastic ape. Fantastic, fantastic ape. King Louie, the Gigantopithecus, who goes, ooh, 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 I wanna be like you, ooh, ooh. This is the monkey that I relate to the most on a personal level. I wanna walk like you, talk like you, too. Seeking man's red fire. A monkey with a brilliant dialect, fantastic speech patterns, a beautiful, beautiful sense of humor, and a love of music. Zabat day, ba ba ba. If you've ever listened to that song, right? I wanna be like you, ooh, ooh. Now show me the secret, you little man, of man's red fire. Now don't try to trick me, man cub. I made a deal with you. He's smart, he's clever, he's forward-thinking, he wants to know the secret of man's red fire. But also, he can't stop busting a jig. Great sense of humor, a man about his bag. King Louie is a life-changing ape. Without question, King Louie is a beautiful animal, and we should all be more grateful that he exists. Of course, portrayed twice in the original 1960s animated Jungle Book by, I cannot remember, and by Christopher Walken in the 2017, I believe, remake of the Jungle Book. The original, I feel, is the better performance, but I love Christopher Walken. Even, it's quite interesting how King Louie's personality is so strong that the original Jungle Book film was a musical, but the remake was not. However, King Louie still had a song. Because he is that ape. He is that ape. He is him. And that's why he's going in life-changing too. Speaking of classic animated monkeys, Rafiki from The Lion King. Rafiki from The Lion King. I love The Lion King. Lion King is a fantastic film, but feel like Rafiki, his image has been tainted for me by his transformation into a Marvel character in the recent Lion King Disney remakes, the so-called live-action remakes. Rafiki, Jon Favreau saying that the stick is like Rafiki's lightsaber, and that they needed to show this specific scene of him getting the stick. So I don't know how to feel about Rafiki. He teaches us valuable lessons. He helps Simba progress on his journey and helps him learn how to mourn his father. He has a wonderful performance. He is fun-loving. And he mentions some of my favorite quotes about life. I mean, I believe it was him who said, "The earliest monkey gets the banana," after he hits Simba on the head with a large banana, if my memory serves. So I think, although, really, if we consider the literal interpretation of the phrase life-changing, Rafiki is, because he is really a, you know what? That is right. Rafiki is a mandrill. We love orangutans, we love gorillas, we love chimpanzees, we love bonobos, we love gibbons, and so on and so forth. But Rafiki is a mandrill. Mandrills are the scariest monkeys of them all. Mandrills are horrifying. Mandrills are the scariest monkeys ever. Mandrills, have you seen their faces? They look like they're constantly ready to kill you. I don't know. I'm sure that the patterns on their faces are very beautiful if you can look at them through that. Me, I see a natural-born killer. So for Rafiki to be a comforting presence while inhabiting the body of such a horrifying ape, and practically being a monkey motivational speaker, I think Rafiki is life-changing. I've come around. I was going to put him in significant, but I think life-changing It makes sense for someone who, as a monkey, even fictional, is capable, with his wise words, of changing lives. I'm going to drink some water, because my mouth is getting dry from all the talking I'm doing about monkeys. You know, another ape that likes to drink water? All of them. They all need to drink water or else they will dehydrate just like we will. Abu from Aladdin. Abu from Aladdin is a funky little monkey and has one of, I think, the most iconic monkey costumes. His costume is so iconic, in fact, that it inspired my own monkey Baba's costume. I think Abu is pretty great. I like Abu a lot. He's got a good sense of humor, and he was one of the original Disney mascots before Disney mascots became something of a tired trope. And I think that that's something that deserves a little bit of praise. Now, the thing about Abu is I've seen Aladdin a few times, but I can't really remember much of what he does. I think that Abu, while his look is iconic and everyone remembers him, I don't know if many people remember much of what Abu does in Aladdin. I mean, of course, Aladdin is a thief in the beginning and Abu is his friend. I feel like, for me, he was, well, I'm seeing some good points. Got turned into an elephant. What, we could put him in this tier? If he got turned into an elephant, is he even still a monkey or an ape? Why does he rank monkeys? Because I am very interested in these culturally significant examples of my favorite animal. I think he's significant enough to be from a film that came out some time ago and to still be remembered, but I don't know if I would put him in life-changing. I feel quite significant for his costume, I think, but not really for any other reason. I feel as though he feels to me somewhat interchangeable with a Disney mascot from other films, although he has the benefit of being one of the first. Perhaps weighed down by his own legacy. I think significant makes sense. Now, what comes next? All of the apes from Space Chimps. Boiler room of hell. All the way down. Fuck these apes. I haven't seen Space Chimps, but it probably fucking sucks. F tier. Gordy from Nope. This is a terrifying chimpanzee who ultimately is a victim of the ruthless entertainment industry. And in the end gets agitated on stage while filming his own sitcom and goes mental crazy monkey mode and brutalizes everyone on stage, killing many, disfiguring others, and traumatizing all of them for life. Gordy serves as a powerful metaphor for the film's themes. And not only that, he really tugs at your heartstrings. Even though the idea of being clubbed to death by a chimpanzee's bare hands, thinking about the raw brute strength that even a small chimp has in their body, I think it's a very primal, natural fear for us to have. But he still manages to provoke a sense of empathy in that film. Despite how scary he is as something of, you know, a modern, I would say, horror movie icon, I think Gordy at least deserves to be insignificant. Right. Next monkey. Oh, this is a classic. The real gorilla from SpongeBob. Do you guys remember this? The real gorilla who, when Patrick was wearing a gorilla suit, showed up and unzipped the gorilla suit and said, I am in the gorilla suit. I thought I was doing a pretty good job. And then Patrick also shows up and unzips his skin, and inside is a real gorilla. Now, although the gorilla is very obviously a human in a costume, for the purposes of the narrative, it is a gorilla. If we were being that facetious about it, King Kong wouldn't be a real... King Kong would be in the bottom tier as well, because in all of his recent installations, he is a CGI character, and in the original King Kong, he is a puppet, or a man in a costume as well. So, for the sake of the narrative, that's what we're considering. There's a gorilla who speaks perfect English, has seemingly a tremendous amount of self-awareness, but also we have to think for a moment about this gorilla's power level, right? They ask at the end of the episode, if you're a gorilla, how are you breathing underwater? Right? And then he realizes that he is breathing underwater, and is only panicked when he is reminded. So this gorilla has perfectly adapted, evolved his body to survive at the underwater, not just underwater, but on the seabed, on a very, very deep level, where pressure would surely, be capable of crushing certain animals. So, very powerful gorilla to begin with. But not only that, there is also a zebra down there, a zebra, as we would say in my country. And they ride off together. Notice, though, how are you breathing underwater? And yet they ride away on the floor, on the ocean seabed. They remain underwater, despite realizing they cannot breathe down there. Why? Perhaps this is why, at the end of the episode, the family takes out a remote control, looks at each other with disgust, and turns the episode off, a little self-aware nod from the writers of that episode. The real gorilla from SpongeBob, I would say, is very significant because he is thought-provoking. He's the gorilla that makes you ask, why? Next up. King Julien from Madagascar. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. F tier. Fuck this guy. Well, he's mean to Mort, who is his friend. He's mean to Mort, who is his friend. But he is a little bit funny. Definitely a lot of kids. He's monkey adjacent. On a Wikipedia list, he's a primate, certainly. I'm including him. Although, if anything bad, if King Julien went to hell, Mort would be sad. For me, I feel as though King Julien is iconic for children, but becomes a lot more facetious and a little frustrating, as people grow up. That's literally Mother! A lot of King Julien fans. A lot of King Julien fans. Mort, I've been paralyzed from the neck down, and I cannot move it. I didn't know anybody felt this passionate about King Julien. Right, fair enough. I know when I'm beaten. I know what I'm beaten. I'm gonna put him in significant. I was gonna put him in I mean they're alright, or in probably in hell tier. Oh, this song fucking slaps hard. Okay. We gotta talk about a good monkey now. We gotta talk about a really good monkey now. This monkey needs no introduction. The moment I started making this list, the moment I announced that I wanted to do this stream, you probably immediately thought, oh, he's gonna talk about them, isn't he? He's gonna talk about this ape. He's gonna talk about this animal. When you think gorilla, when you think any primate, really, this monkey comes to mind. When you think of any animal that swings from trees, this monkey comes to mind. When you eat a banana, you think, man, I eat a banana because I want to be like him. Of course, that monkey is MONKE, D tier, fuck this guy, disgusting. Absolutely revolting monkey. One of the worst monkeys of all time. One of the absolute worst. Just an absolute abomination. Disgusting. In every sense of the word. I want to move on, but I can't. Looks like a fucking bag of shit. Disgusting. Disgusting monkey. Revolting. I don't even want to look at it anymore. And yet this is the only monkey, one of the only monkeys, that has their own portrait here. Because as far as I'm aware, this image is not copyrighted. Let's quickly move on. Okay, now we're going to talk about a real monkey. This monkey, though, really does need no introduction. This animal is a part of a media franchise, a part of a piece of media that and is such a significant and beloved part of it that many say that his name is synonymous with that product. If anything, the product is nothing without him. That is, of course, Winston Overwatch, with no brackets because that is his surname. Winston goes straight to the top of life-changing tier. He has not been around as long as King Kong, and he didn't provoke empathy in the way Harambe did, but Winston Overwatch speaks to the soul of everyone who likes gorillas. Winston reporting. Winston Overwatch is an intelligent ape. One who has been through so much, one who has lost so much, and yet still has hope. Although you may be forgiven for thinking that Overwatch did not have lore, it does. And Winston is a character who, while everyone in Overwatch is seemingly traumatized, everyone has given up on Overwatch, Winston has been through more than most. Winston is a gorilla who had been experimented on to become intelligent and crash-landed on Earth. And yet still, he has hope. Yes, Bubbles is Michael Jackson's monkey. He has hope for Overwatch. And then he says, "No, I do not want a banana." No matter how much Overwatch may shift and grow and be culturally relevant and then fall into obscurity and then come roaring back, Winston remains. Winston remains strong at all times. He will always be recognizable in culture, no matter what his source material has to do with any of that. And so, Winston is a life-changing ape. And yes, if you came out as anything to Winston, he would be supportive. Winston, I think, would be very good at buying you pads. Next up. I mean, they're all right tier, it is empty, and I think this is a good thing. It means that these monkeys are thought-provoking, divisive. This epic music is going on for too long. This epic music is going on for too long, and I don't want to give it to an ape who doesn't deserve it. There we go. There we go. I mean, who next? Oh, yes, of course. A fascinating entry. Going back to Harambe for a second. Harambe connected with people without even knowing how or why. He was sadly left us before he could even see his own impact. However, one gorilla who had an impact, not as large as Harambe, but still quite significant in his own way, was Shabani. Do you guys know who Shabani is? Many of you from Japan might know. Shabani is a gorilla who, according to Wikipedia, was considered handsome or, quote, metrosexual. Shabani was a very handsome gorilla. Shabani was a gorilla at a zoo in Japan who was so handsome, in fact. I believe either he was in a zoo in Japan or he became popular with women in Japan. I'm not sure which one, but Shabani, I've seen images of Shabani. He is a handsome gorilla. He is a handsome gorilla. He has a very robust jawline and he has soulful eyes. Shabani has very gentle eyes. Shabani is popular with women. Shabani is a real slayer, you might say. Shabani is a very significant ape. In fact, I'll put him above Abu. He's at the top of significant tier. Because, well, I don't know, maybe he should be at the bottom of life-changing because he did change those women's lives. And I need to think about this as well. As a mogging monkey. I'm trying to think of alliteration that has to do with monkeys, and I could say looks maxing, but I don't think anything's coming to mind. As a life-changing looks maxer. There you go. Shabani will have changed the lives of the women who fell in love with him. But also, something else to remember. Shabani, and gorillas in general, have an average erect penis size of only 1.5 inches. I'm not here to shame any micropenis having people in the chat. But that it's called a micropenis for a reason, unfortunately. So to know that, as you are well aware, these women most likely thought that he was handsome, did their research, and then still chose to be in love with Shabani. Even despite his and other gorillas lacking equipment. And so I think Shabani deserves to be in life-changing. Now it's time for a real bastard. The monkey from Mario 64 that steals your hat. Fuck this monkey a million times. I think, bear with me, the worst monkey of them all. A monkey synonymous with pain. A monkey synonymous with annoyance. For a game so brilliant and so open and so freeing. A game where you can jump anywhere. One of the first fully 3D platformers ever. A revolutionary title that was so liberating with its movement. And then, to add an NPC that runs around and all he does is steal your hat. To the point where, if you leave the level, he still has your hat. Your hat is still gone when you leave the level. That's fucked up. If this monkey is about to steal your hat, you'll be less inconvenienced if you hold down one of the triggers and long jump off the cliff to your death. For Mario, dying is a far lesser inconvenience than this monkey stealing his hat. So this monkey goes below Le Monke, because while Le Monke gives me immense disgust, the Mario 64 monkey makes me see red. The Mario 64 monkey makes me desire to kill. Now, it's time to talk about a very important, but also in some ways very divisive ape. Let's talk about Koko the gorilla. There's been some debate in recent years about whether or not Koko the gorilla could actually understand human speech through sign. But regardless of whether or not that's true, Koko captivated a very large audience of fans simply by being a kind and gentle ape, and kind and gentle she was. Whether she understood what people were saying, she was a pleasure to be around. She notably had a strong friendship with the late and fantastic Robin Williams. And in the videos of those two hanging out, she is a wonderful, gentle, kind, smiley, bubbly individual that helps us to break down the barriers between human and animal, to understand that behind the idea that animals are so different from ourselves, Many of them are in many ways so human. And Koko was so human before her unfortunate death. Although a very long and happy life she lived indeed. So regardless of any controversy surrounding whether or not she could actually speak English through sign language, I think, personally, that her impact has outgrown that. She had an impact on people regardless. Not only that, she teaches us about the emotional capacity of chimpanzees and apes, the emotional capacity of animals in general. Are you all aware of Koko's kittens when she was given pet kittens to play with? Tragic story. Very sad, but very eye-opening. Koko the gorilla was given a kitten to play with. And you might think, oh, a gorilla and a kitten? That gorilla is going to breathe on that kitten and its neck will snap. But no, she cared and loved those kittens. She cared for and loved those kittens so much and played with them as a reward after learning her words for the day. But one day, unfortunately, one of her kittens, or I'm not sure if it was one or all of them, or she just had one kitten, but either way, a kitten sadly passed away. Not by Koko's hand. I believe there was some accident, but one of the kittens passed away. And when hearing this news, through sign language, Koko signed to say, "I am sad, and I am lost." And she walked away into her enclosure, and she could be heard wailing. The idea that what we previously would have assumed to be just a dumb animal was fully capable of understanding the concept of mortality, understood the concept of life and death, understood its own mortality. And from then, regardless of whether or not that sign language thing was real, still understood just how devastated she was when she lost her friends. For that reason, I think that Koko is one of the goats of the gorilla world, for me. She changed lives, regardless of whether or not she was actually using sign language. Spinning gorilla! Spinning gorilla! Significant. Funny. Would you rather gay son or spinning gorilla? I mean, I'd be perfectly happy to have a gay son, but you know, a spinning gorilla would be pretty cool. I'm going to be honest with you. Spinning gorilla. Spinning gorilla is a fantastic gorilla. Spinning gorilla loves entertaining kids. Spinning gorilla loves entertaining children. You see the little girl who watches as the spinning gorilla spins, and she says, "There he goes. There he goes, monkey." And then he stops and gently places his hand on the glass. Sometimes we have to ask ourselves why. Why did spinning gorilla spin? He was just having fun. You spin me right round, baby, right round, like a gorilla. Stunning. A fantastic show of not just a fun-loving spirit, but also superior footwork. Incredible. Next. Picking from them like I'm about to execute them. Okay, it's about time. It's about time we talk about some of the legends. Some of the legends. Caesar from Rise, Dawn, and War for the Planet of the Apes. Caesar. Now there are many thoughts and opinions about the Planet of the Apes remakes. They're not really remakes, or sort of soft reboot films, prequels. I like them a lot. I think they're good. The first one is very Hollywood. The second one has a lot more humanity to it. And I haven't seen the third one for a while, but I do like them. The effects are brilliant. But regardless of all of that, Caesar connects with people in a very interesting way. what we've seen over the past 10 or so years is the emergence of the literally me character. Ryan Gosling. In anything that he's in. For some reason, Patrick Bateman. For me, Caesar, with the edits of him in a suit, this is a literally me ape. There are some of what Caesar says and does is so burned into my brain permanently. One of my favorite scenes, I think, in any film, just for the sheer, like, silence. I remember seeing Rise of the Planet of the Apes in theaters. Seeing Caesar in Rise of the Planet of the Apes in theaters, there had been a general level of, you know when people aren't talking, but there's still a soft level of noise in the theater. Maybe it's ambient sound in the film. Maybe it's, people being respectful, but occasionally whispering to one another in a sense that is usually appropriate to do in the cinema. In the scene when Caesar first speaks, oh my god. Get your stinking paw off me, you damn dirty ape. Brilliant tactic. Disarm the audience with, oh, haha, funny reference to the first movie. I get it. Haha. No! Dead silence. Everyone in the audience is gripped and absolutely silent. Beautiful. He's an ape with great quotes. He's an ape with a great face. He looks cool as shit. And the idea that Andy Serkis hopping around in motion capture as a chimpanzee could be the main character. Planet of the Apes has human characters, but Caesar, even in the first film where he barely speaks at all, he says 4 words, I think, still serves as the main and protagonist of that film. So for me, we must be careful of who we put in GOAT tier, but I think Caesar goes right below Koko for me. Caesar goes right below Koko. In fact, for me, I think we put Koko above King Kong. I think GOAT tier is ordered and it's very specific, but I think this is fair. I think this is fair. Well, I don't want GOAT tier to get too big, but there are a lot of very important monkeys around here. We'll think about it. We can reorder, we can reconsider. Monkey from Kung Fu Panda. I mean, he's alright, Monkey from Kung Fu Panda has some good jokes. You saved me. Why? Monkey. Monkey, the thing is, he's cool, he's got some good moves to him, there are some good jokes in those movies, but Monkey doesn't really do anything in Kung Fu Panda. Monkey is there for the trailers, he's there to be part of the Furious Five, he's there to put his almond cookies on the top shelf, but he doesn't really do anything. He just kind of fights and doesn't really have much character. So to me, Monkey from Kung Fu Panda, I mean, he's alright. The idea of a monkey that does Kung Fu is a really strong idea. It's a powerful idea, and I love it, but I feel like I should be more impressed with him than I am, you know? Alright. Next up, Jack from Pirates of the Caribbean, the undead monkey who goes and runs around and scares people. Now, I want to put him in should probably be in hell because he is undead, and I feel like, should probably be in hell, but he's alright. Doesn't really do anything. He's cool as a little visual trick to add some theme to the ship, to make the Black Pearl feel like a real bastard of a ship, but otherwise, doesn't really do much. He's kind of scary. The CGI, especially in the Curse of the Black Pearl, the first film, pretty freaky, a uncanny valley, nasty looking monkey. Capuchin monkeys are cool, but I feel like he's alright, he's alright. Speaking of scary monkeys, Andros from Star Fox. Andros is scary and not super significant, much like Monkey or Jack, but I feel like the pure fear factor from Andros can't be underestimated. There's something about the low poly graphics of the Nintendo 64 that just makes Andros feel that much more terrifying. There's something about him, that a disembodied monkey head that you have to fight with a spaceship. How big is this monkey? How did he get so big? Why is it just his head floating in space? Feel like at the bottom of significant tier for Andros. At the bottom of significant tier for me. The bottom of significant tier, I think, is the most important. Yeah. He's just about edges it in. He just about edges his way in. Ooh. We've got some real kings coming up. Some real kings coming up. Let's talk about someone who's been suspiciously absent. Curious George. Curious George is great. I played the Curious George PS2 game. And it was a motherfucker. The puzzles in that game broke my back. Curious George for PS2, nightmare. Curious George is adorable and really opened our eyes to the appeal of having a pet monkey, but also at the same time, Curious George then awakens you to the idea that you could never have a pet monkey because it would eventually kill you. But he is so cute. And he's got a great theme song. Because he's curious! Curious George! George! Isn't that great? Curious George is fantastic. Incredibly culturally significant. Alongside his master, the man in the yellow hat, who, thankfully at the Oscars, Timothée Chalamet dressed up as the man in the yellow hat, as you may know. Which just shows how long and how permanently this character has cemented himself into pop culture. So, for me, I think that Curious George goes right above Bubbles. He's not, for me, doesn't quite edge out Winston. But Curious George is a really special monkey. He's an adorable monkey. He is cute. He is special. He's funny. And I really like him. He's just a solid monkey overall. Now, we're really cutting it close now. Let's have a look. Now, this is another good one. Mojo Jojo from the Powerpuff Girls. I think Mojo Jojo deserves to go at least in significant tier purely for his name alone. One of the best monkey names ever. One of the best monkey names of all time. Mojo Jojo. The way that it feels like such a dynamic, flowing name, and is so fun to say, and yet 3 of the syllables are Joe. Mojo Jojo. He's funny, he's a part of a fantastic cartoon series, and he has the greatest name of all time. For me, I think that he goes in... Would he go in life-changing? For me, I don't know. I mean, I'm not super familiar with Powerpuff Girls, so I'm sure I would only like him more if I had seen more of the show. So I think he goes right at the bottom of life-changing, just below Shabani. Remember, life-changing is a big deal. To be life-changing is, you know, change someone's life, it's a lot. Okay. We're back to the epic monkey music, and there are only 2 apes that I want to dedicate this song to. My phone fell out of my pocket because I'm so excited. Next up is possibly the most famous ape currently in pop culture. An ape that needs no introduction. An ape that is the star of his own TV show. An ape that is the star of his own video games. An ape that has had multiple iterations, and an ape that single-handedly saved the video game industry at the turn of the 1980s. Of course, it's Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong is one of the gorillas of all time. Donkey Kong is such a significant ape for being a... His name is incredible. His name represents the unity between East and West. Donkey Kong. Donkey being a translation effect meaning to portray stubborn ape. He's not a donkey. I don't care if Shigeru Miyamoto thinks that's what a donkey looks like. He's not a donkey, he's an ape. Fantastic name, fantastic character, and one of the most revolutionary video game characters of all time. Donkey Kong for the Game Boy. A subversion on an arcade classic. Let's not... Donkey Kong for arcade, a game that was so successful and so widespread that Eminem had a high score. Eminem was one of the greatest Donkey Kong players of all time. That's how good it was. How good do you think the game is? Fun. For me, Donkey Kong goes in... It's a toss-up. Is Donkey Kong above Harambe? I don't know. Donkey Kong has had decades. He's had funding. He has had marketing. But Harambe took over the world purely with his own spirit. We'll order it later. But Donkey Kong, without a doubt, is one of the greatest gorillas of all time, one of the greatest fictional monkeys, but also one of the greatest fictional characters, I believe, of all time. But there is one ape that comes in, if we really think about it, above them all. Okay? There is one ape who stood the test of time like no other. An ape who has come back time and time again. Every single time seeming to take over not just his origin in the East, but also to become famous in the West, inspiring some of the most famous fictional characters ever. I'm so glad that they have epic monkey music in RuneScape. How lucky are we? Of course, I think the GOAT, the greatest monkey of all time, is Sun Wukong. Let's be real here. The fact that Goku is based on Sun Wukong, the fact that this is a classic, an old story, the Monkey King. The Monkey King. Journey to the West being one of the most influential stories in the history of literature. A story that stands up with, I don't know, maybe the Odyssey as being one of the founding parts of world literature, really. And a character that has come back in centuries after his invention, coming back to be nominated for Game of the Year with Black Myth Wukong. To serve as the inspiration for countless other characters, to be interpreted in his own way in countless games. Wukong from I believe, League, and you have Sun Wukong also makes an appearance in Smite as well, in all kinds of different iterations. He is both God, he is fictional character, he is everything. For his permanence in the world of pop culture, spanning from antiquity all the way up to pop culture as we know it today, Sun Wukong remains relevant permanently. And that is why Sun Wukong is above Harambe as the monkey of all time. The Monkey King is the Monkey King. And that I don't think is changing. I'd love to get more invested in that sort of literature, and I'd love to read it at some point. Now, who else is there? The list is growing short. Let's go back to another one of these, because... where do we put this guy? The monkey getting a haircut. I think that the monkey getting a haircut speaks to something that's very human about all of us. And if anything, connects us to monkeys in a way that has not been done before. And also, this is one of the first ever memes that my dad has found funny. Every time I've tried showing my dad a meme, he's like, "What? Have to be there, wouldn't you? I don't get it. I don't get it. This... He cried laughing at this monkey. So this monkey, the haircut monkey, is special to me. The haircut monkey is very special to me. This is sort of on the cusp of memes going into their postmodern phase where they wouldn't remain popular for long, but the haircut monkey thankfully had quite a lot of longevity due to the breadth of edits available. The wrestling, where the guy is, like, I think it's Dave Bautista going, "Ah!" But then you edit the monkey over it and he's giving a monkey a haircut with rage. Permanent meme format. And one of, really just, something that transcends the generations, that transcends time. I think we'll put Haircut Monkey right below Mojo Jojo. And next. Koba from Planet of the Apes. The villain from the dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And a posthumous villain from War for the Planet of the Apes. Koba, this is a fucked up monkey. This is a fucked up, evil-ass monkey. Oh, you can't see him. Can't see him. One sec. There you go. Koba is a fucked up, bastard, evil bitch monkey. He is so frustrating. The scar over his eye. Beautiful villain design. So typical. So... just, he looks like if a Bond villain was a monkey. Toby Kebbell, motion capture and vocal performance as Koba is fantastic. One of my favorite scenes from Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is really just quite an interesting story, you know. Ape politics, chimpanzees debating, should we allow the humans to live in harmony with us or should we wipe them out after what they've done to us? Koba with his scar on his face. The humans working in the hydro plant that the apes had taken over. Caesar says, "Let them do human work." And Koba almost seems to... he is angry, but he grins, like he's noticing an opportunity to manipulate. He's noticing an opportunity, but also the rage in him, the pain he's felt is real. Pointing at his scar. Human work. Points at the other wounds on his body given to him by the human scientists who experiment with him. Human work! And also having a classic Disney villain death. Ape not kill ape. You are not ape. No! Just classic Disney villain shit. Koba for me, I think goes... above Shabani. Koba is a pretty good villain. Koba is a really cool monkey villain, I think. Really one of the best. You don't get a lot of monkey villains. But I think Koba is one of the most threatening, certainly. But speaking of monkey villains, oh my god. Oh my god. Let's talk about the guardian ape. When I was in university, studying film, I did a unit on sound in media, the use of sound, and I wrote an essay. Probably wasn't very good. I was coasting a little bit at that point. But the guardian ape, I wrote an essay about, and the use of audio to instill the player with a sense of primal fear. The guardian ape, I think, is by far the best animated ape. Outside of, I think in terms of visual fidelity, obviously Planet of the Apes has Sekiro beat. But in terms of the animations, the personality in his moveset, the guardian ape is the best animated ape, I think, ever. Personally, at least for a game that I have played. Such a beautiful portrayal of a real huge gorilla. The way that one of his moves is leaping into the air and hurling a giant clump of shit at you that poisons you. The way that if you start hitting him in the ass, he farts on you and runs away. The way that none of this makes him any less intimidating. His huge mottled face, his gnarling fangs. The way he spins and the way that a creature that huge, we would never expect to move that fast, and yet he does. Eerily and frighteningly, he always moves fast as shit. This is a terrifying boss to go up against, of one of, at least on a first playthrough, one of the hardest in the game. A big learning curve required to beat the Guardian Ape when you first play the game. Not only that, I'll talk a little bit of, you know, the music theory behind the Guardian Ape. A lot of the bosses in Sekiro are introduced with cutscenes. You know, Genichiro, cutscene, face off against the character. Lady Butterfly, cutscene, face off. And they've all been humans, sort of roughly the same size. You've had the Blazing Bowl, sure. You've had a couple of mini-bosses like the Headless that are a little different. But the Guardian Ape, you're running through this monkey-infested valley, and you're like, wow, I wonder what's next. And then you see him. Sat on the opposite side of this big clearing full of water. He's facing away. And he turns around. Wham! Bam! Dun-dun-dun-dun! And he runs towards you, and the fight begins with no introduction, no explanation. Because why would a giant ape sat in his natural habitat need an introduction? He sees you, and he's hungry, so he's going to kill you. A great way of pulling the player away from the norm. But this is great, the music is great, it's ape-like, and it's threatening while bringing that sense of, you know, monkeyness to it. It sounds like a monkey song, but it's very scary. And then, throughout the game, the player has been shown shinobi execution whenever a boss fight is done. Enemies have plenty of health bars, but you can see how many they have with the little death blow markers. And when you finally kill a boss, you do a second death blow, and it says shinobi execution. Every boss you fought, that means you won. You hear boom. Stunning. You've done it. And as you're running away, a horrendous uptick on the string starts. And he stands back up with his head dangling in his hand, a gaping neck wound, spitting blood as he stands back up, wielding the sword you cut his head off with, and he comes back for round 2. A terrifying moment, and one of the most memorable from the game. The idea that a game all about tight, rhythm-based encounters with human enemies, swords clashing on swords, can take an enormous gorilla and make it arguably one of, if not the most memorable fight from the entire game, is a testament to just how significant monkeys and apes are in pop culture. So for me, the Guardian Ape, a lot of monkeys in life-changing, but I think for me, the Guardian Ape goes right above, I think he goes above Bubbles for me. And you know what? Gorilla Grodd, I'm putting you down here. I don't know. Gorilla Grodd, I feel like we were being too generous. Gorilla Grodd, you're going underneath Spinning Gorilla. I don't know. You're going underneath Spinning Gorilla. I mean, I like you for beating up Flash, but I don't know if you've actually done that. I don't know if you've actually been able to do that. I mean, how could a gorilla catch the Flash? Unless, any DC fans, has Gorilla Grodd ever, had Flash powers? Has Gorilla Grodd ever become as fast as the Flash? Because that would be an apex predator unlike anything the world has ever seen. Okay. This is our list. What do we change? For me, the big decision. Is Harambe... Who is in second place? Is it Harambe or Donkey Kong? Because I feel that Donkey Kong is, of course, more everlasting in culture, and he has done so much, but Harambe's impact came from nothing. Harambe's impact came from one news article. And a media outrage. Harambe's impact came from empathy. Pure human empathy. The thought of a gorilla dying in the way that he did brought people together in a way that immortalized him. And that, I think, is very beautiful. Donkey Kong saved the video game industry and has remained one of the, the image of Donkey Kong is completely synonymous with monkeys and apes. And if you think about gorillas, Donkey Kong is really up there as one of the first ones that you would think of. I think Harambe has to go second for me, though. Harambe is such an important story culturally. Like, I know it's a meme, but the fact that he became a meme warms my heart in a way unlike many others. So I think Harambe goes in second. None of them really come close to the longevity of Sun Wukong, but for Harambe having only become a meme in the last 9 years, his impact is remarkable. So I think I like this tier list, as is. Boots, Space Chimps, Le MONKE, and the Mario 64 monkey that steals your hat in hell where they should be. I mean, they're alright for these guys who don't really do anything. Significant for these guys who I don't really have much of an opinion about, but I do like. The real gorilla. The real gorilla from SpongeBob. Okay. It'll be. I want to bump him up, but I think that's just me thinking he's funny. Yeah, the rest of this makes sense. I think as an ordered list, this is pretty reasonable, don't you think? I like it. Personally, I like it. I didn't put Owowoge on the... Oh, King Owowoge doesn't really even have a personality, to be honest. Like, he's kind of cool, but I don't know. It's a very base list. Thank you. I thought so too. Optimus Primal. Oh yeah, there is a monkey. There is a gorilla transformer, isn't there? Well, I don't really know anything about him. He's cool, though. If he was here, he'd be in... I mean, they're alright, because I don't know what he does. This is my monkey tier list. And let it remind you all that monkeys are more than just... Monkeys and apes are more than just funny animals. To me, they are a fundamental link between humanity and the animal kingdom. They remind us that there is humanity in all beings. I couldn't put Baba on this list because I would be biased. Baba is my monkey, okay? Baba is important to me, but I couldn't put him on this list because if I did, Baba would be in GOAT tier, but we all know that only we know about Baba, okay? Baba is special to us. Where's Big Monkey Man 37? Big Monkey Man 37 is me. And I'm a monkey, not literally, but spiritually. But it's a reasonable question. Damien, thank you for the super. I respect that that's probably a significant character. I'm not familiar, though. These are monkeys that I know about. So, this is my list, and so remember, there is humanity present in all animals, and apes and monkeys remind us of that. In their eyes, we see ourselves. In their actions, we see ourselves. The video of that one chimpanzee who gives a guy a boost and then they fist bump. There is more that makes us similar than we know. Epic monkey tier. That's how it goes. Tarzan okay, I haven't seen Tarzan in a really long time, but they're cool. If Tarzan family were here, they would be significant. You cool? You dig? Okay. Well, thank you everybody for coming to my monkey tier list. I wish I could have included more, because there are so many monkeys in this life that are impossible to account for. For every named gorilla, there are thousands of unnamed gorillas. But for many, I'm so angry about what I'm about to say that I can't say it at all. What you must remember at the end of the day. Many monkeys and apes are endangered species. We are losing our connection to the animal kingdom. They bridge us and remind us of our empathy. And so, if you do anything today, I would like to draw attention once again to the Apes for Vox trend that happened on my birthday in 2022, and I believe is still going to this day, that sponsors and protects apes in the wild. I would like very much that if any of you have considered maybe sending a super chat today, thank you to those who did. But if you have some money left over that you thought you were going to send to me today, send that to a charity, to a gorilla or an ape research facility. Send that to a charity that supports and protects the endangered monkeys and apes in the wild, because they are a very special part, not just of our humanity, not just of our world, but of our culture. Truly, art, music, film, television, and video games would not be the same were it not for the contributions made by our favorite set of primates. That's going to be all from me for today. Short stream, thought it would be longer, but I desperately need to get some sleep, so I am going to call it there. Thank you very much, everyone. I look forward to seeing you all very early for me tomorrow for a watch-along of the Overture concert, which I'm very excited to do because I've already rewatched it a bunch of times and I would do it again. I love Monkey. I love you. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Ooh, 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 ooh.